Ghost Rider server 48, and I've gone through a few of the generals. I'm trying to remember. I never go back and watch my videos, so I think that I touched base on the new wall general in my last video. But this video, I've had a lot of people asking about defenses because I've been doing some work with some newer players in a newer server. So with that, I wanted to go through defense completely, which will probably be 2 videos. I don't want it to get too long here. So I'm going to just jump right into it because there's a lot to cover, because defense isn't a quick answer. There's so much that goes into it. I mean, the list that I have written out, and I probably missed something, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Well over 20 different things to cover. So without any further ado, I'm going to start here in the corner and work my way in. Senate. So Senate, when you first look at it, looks like small buffs here and there, but in the long and short, when you look at it, it becomes pretty significant. And what is nice is as you do ascend more generals back and forth, like you may need to pull from the Senate and or switch generals, and you have one to put in, you have one to take out. And then these things, these are all nice too. Because that's a big jump, right? In rally, siege machine attack, we're at 44%. Like that adds up real quick, along with the others. And you've got, all these different areas. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4. So that's 24 separate areas to get individual buffs here and there. As you can see, these I haven't worked on so much. But I've worked on what my city is built towards, which is siege and range. And I'm going to get into, in the second video, I'll get into like some of the dynamics and how and why you build a defense a certain way. But in this, when we look at, like, this one's maxed out, right? So, 120%, that's a big jump. And then you have the title grade buffs, and these are nice too. And I recommend before you do any of them, go through and look at what the next one is that you can open on each one and make your decision there. Because that way you're making a decision that is helping you here now, and then, of course, long term as well. You can look down the list. That way, I believe in like having a plan and having a set way that you want to do stuff and build stuff and improve your buffs. So Senate is one that's significant, especially if you're defending. Like some of this stuff is in-city stuff. Like, well, this is in rally siege HP. I know there's an in-city one here somewhere. This one, defending siege machine HP. So if you are a siege heavy defense, which like big keeps probably don't look at it that way. They're like, well, I'm not heavy anywhere. I'm strong all the way across. I just don't have that ability, and a majority of the people that play the game and a majority of the people that listen to my channel probably don't have that ability. So go through, pick and choose. Like if you're wanting to work on defense, then just look at the defense stuff. It's just smart play, right? That's what you want to work on. We're going to work towards that. We're talking defense. So we're looking for the defense buffs. And there's another one it's ranged and siege HP. And that one's really nice too. That's in-city attack. Which attack's important, but anyone that watches my videos knows that I always put, defensively, I always put a priority on HP. And then defense. Well, HP, and then it's pretty much like all equal. But for me, high HP being harder to kill makes a massive difference. And this is a great time for this video to come out because we're going into the second round of prelims. And this may help someone make a change that is going to make a difference for them. So that's the Senate. Of course, you want to place all these generals. You want to do what you have to do to open up all the slots, which they're not easy. I was lucky I was in one when I was finishing mine out. So between SVS and Battlefield, it was moderately easy for me to get everything open. But like I say, there's a lot of hidden buffs in here. What is this? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the position promotions and then your standard upgrade type stuff. And then the title grades. And it does, ultimately, there are a lot of buffs that can be had there. So I'm going to just scratch that one off the list. I'm kind of just like hitting on these topics as we go because there's a lot to cover. So we'll go into the Triumphal Arch. I've got it up to level 5. I need to improve my ideal land and mainly just the ideal land. And then I can bump this up to the next level. But here you see all this extra stuff, rally capacity. So it's split up, stuff that works everywhere, and then the buffs that you're going to get just in Battlefield. So rally cap 15, reinforced cap 15, but you get a rally capacity in the Battlefield 50, so it's complete 65 altogether, 65 on the reinforcement. And then this bottom one's my favorite one. The increases troops attack, defense, and HP in the Battlefield 30%. So that's a good place to get buffs. Unfortunately, it's not always the easiest because there are requirements to get that to where I'm at or where other people are at, where it needs to be. And since we're at the Arch of Triumph, it makes the most sense to slide over to the victory column because I don't know if they're actually connected, but in my mind they are. I think they actually are. So with this, I believe it's 1% general basic attributes, and that is added on to the base number, general attributes on each general. And 10%, like that makes a difference because you're starting off at whatever number it starts off at, and that's 10% added directly to those attributes. And then that's going to be taken by the cultivation that you do on your general. So increases general basics attributes 10%. Construction speed, research speed, and march time reduction. These are all important things that benefit you as you're building, as you're doing research, but also in going after bosses and stuff like that. Even if you aren't competing with a bigger alliance, the more monsters and the faster you can kill them, the more you can do per day and the more resources and speed ups you can get. And that 10% really crucial on your wall general, in my opinion. Now, click. Let's see, what have we got over here as the wonder? So in the wonder, there's a few things. Advanced refining. The one thing that's nice about this is you're using refining stones for what's going to be guaranteed buffs. Like, it takes a lot of them to get there, but it's a guaranteed buff, And these are all good numbers. All troops HP 30.5. And then the next HP one, because that's what I like to focus on. All troops HP 31. And there's a lot of players that are higher than me. But refined stones, I end up doing a lot of refining because you're always building new generals. That's just kind of became a thing in Evony. People used to say, play with what you have, and I still believe in that. But you're going to have generals come up that you're just going to have to build. It is what it is. But yeah, especially if you're focusing on defense right now, do as many of these as you can. I'm not even going to mess with it because I hardly have any refined stones. And Civ Treasure. This stuff, as far as specifically defensively playing, I don't know if there's anything that really sticks out, except for this one, which is your healing speed. You should always have it on that when you're going into a battlefield. So, click. What else do we got that's on this side that is of importance? Beast seals. So, beast seals, super important. There's actually a lot of buffs and stuff that you're going to get here as well. So with this, you want to keep turning over and getting new beasts and, building on placing them where they need to go. These have attack and debuff on a lot of them. So a lot of these are going to go in your subs. Or if you don't have all the dragons or a lot of the dragons, you can supplement these in for a dragon. I do like Pegasus on Olaf because it does have a pretty good march size buff, and then the other attack buffs and stuff like that come with it. But in here, let's see, I was just at one that was finished. So here, attack and siege attack 50%. There's a lot of buffs. There's just a lot of buffs here. So that one's mastered. So that's 50% siege machine attack. And I felt like there was another one. Is this, or is that the one I just looked at? Could be. Anyway, you've got all these specific ones. So, choose wisely, have a plan on what you want to work on. And then also you've got the separate buffs that go with each one. I don't even know what this is called, but whatever. World Frost is basically like talents. So there's a lot of buffs there too, in-city mounted attack, and they all work on one. Each separate one works in the same area. It's all in-city mounted troop attack on this one. Then the next one, in-city range troop HP. Which the one thing with archer HP is it is what will keep your archers in your city alive, especially once your siege is gone, and they're going to siege you to try to wipe out most of your archers, so that way they can, which in that case, once your siege is gone, most times they're going to send arch to kill your cav. But you know what I'm saying is, with the higher HP, it does make those troops a little harder to kill. And each one of these is different on each beast. I'm just going to go through this one, in-city siege machine defense, which a lot of people early on, we said siege defense really wasn't that important. But I think with the buffs being pushed out as far as they are, now I think it is, especially if you are counting on your siege to defend and be a major part of your defense. They need to survive as much as possible. So, just real quick, there's a few things that we touch on real quick. The ideal land it's needed for the Archer Triumph, right? And we'll go inside it and take a look. And all these different buildings and decorations and stuff, they all add up to something. So you're getting a flat march size number, and then you're getting, in this case, range troop and siege machine HP. It's a debuff, and I'm at level 7, so that's giving me a march cap of 2,500 base. Enemy range troop and siege machine HP negative 3.5%, and then attacking mounted troop attack 7%. So all these do add up, and they all matter. And then of course you do need to keep pushing it to get to the Archer Triumph to the next level. So I'm going to just touch on 4 more subjects here real quick, and then I'll get on to the rest of my list in the next video. Duty officers. This is one that I caught onto right away when duty officers came out, and I started looking at the buffs, which a lot of you are further along than me. And I've got mainly 2nd generation duty officers. So they aren't fantastic, but there's a lot of buffs. There's debuff here. Early on, I really liked Otto the Great. I thought was really good, and he's not all the way done yet on the specs. But ground and mounted defense, enemy range troop, and siege machine attack. We get a debuff, and on him you get a lot of attack and debuff almost all the way down to the bottom except for the 5th star. So there's a lot of extra buffs to be had in here, just like there was with the beast seals. And then now it's a little easier, so you can rack up those tickets, whatever, in the King's Scheme event, and you can get any of the duty officers. So if you save up, I think it's to the 1800, which is what I did, and I added Helena, who I think is a phenomenal duty officer to have, even with just like the base skill. Range and siege, attack, defense, and HP 15%. That's really good. But yeah, it's basically a way, like, if you are spending, even if you're just spending a little, like, you can get these generals and study them first and learn how they will benefit you. Because you see, I've got a few. This Ono Imoko, he's a newer one that I thought was good, so I placed him. This one's my new favorite. She's really good. So if you are gauged towards your siege, range troop and siege machine attack by 15, and reduces enemy range troop and siege machines defense and HP by 15. And since it doesn't say when attacking, all these buffs work everywhere. Now the next one does not. Attacking ground and mounted troop defense and HP 20%. And the reason that I went and did the first red star on her and not Helena is when you get to the second one, because I am focusing on my siege right now, attacking range troop and siege machine attack, defense, and HP is 20. So it's double what that first red star is on Helena. So I want to do 2 red stars on her, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do 1 on Helena, because her first red star is siege buffs and it works everywhere. So pay attention to detail. Like, that's one thing a lot of people ask me, how did I learn so much? How do you know all this? And my answer is simply, I paid attention. So, champions. Champions do give you a major boost, and some are better than others. But the newer ones that have come out, in my opinion, they've been well worth it. In-city, range and siege defense and HP. It's going to make your siege machines harder to kill. Enemy ground and mounted troop HP debuff. And the reason this is important is if you're getting a lot of this stuff, you've got these champions build out really high, it allows you to be flexible in what you use as debuff generals and what you use as gear and what you focus on debuffing, because you're getting the extras here. You don't really need a general to debuff ground. You don't really need a general to debuff cav, because you're going to get a lot of that stuff through the champions here. Attack and siege machine attack, 75%. This one came out right when Romulus did, and Romulus was a game-changing siege general. He was the next level, and in my opinion, he still is the best. But this one was really nice because you get the archer debuff, which is really handy, and then when defending the main city, ground troop attack. So you don't have to really use any refines to do that. You're getting a little bit here, and you only need a little bit, because by the time your ground is the main part of your defense, you're already dead. So work on these champions. Get them as high as you can. If you are coining when you do get packs, try to find the ruby necklaces in packs. If you can, it's kind of like an extra bonus. And I just want to touch on the Academy and Dragons a little bit. With the Academy, do all your research. Everybody knows this, but some of the things that we, kind of miss along the shuffle is how stuff works. So with this one, junior defending breakout, where's the single troop? So you want to do all this stuff. You want to get your academy should be, if you're kind of one, your academy should be done a long time ago. Like a long time ago, it should have been done. So with that being said, do all your research. I mean, the academy is pretty basic. Do all your research. It's simple, right? And then you can pick and choose in the military academy what you really need to work on. So you can go through there and pick and choose what kind of research you want to do, this, that, and the other. And then finally, dragons. This is kind of basic, and everyone's going to be built the way that they're built. For me, the wall dragon I use, this one had the ability to be able to have full flat refines on the dragon when the other ones only had partials. I think it was only like 60 or 80%, something like that. So here you can get full refines, the same ones that you can get for flats on the on the gear. So whether it's this dragon or the gold dragon, whatever you have, for me, this is what I chose to do. And the reason with the mounted HP percentage, I think you do need to keep those layers up top surviving, and then it's your philosophy on how you defend. This is the way I look at it. So when you're a bigger keep, they're going to siege you first. In most cases, they're always going to siege you first, right? So my idea is I have high HP percentages on my siege. So I make it difficult for you to get through my siege to the point where you're able to send archer. And then I've got high HP on the mounted. So with that, it does make it, because mounted is probably one of the easier layers to get through, because archers are really efficient against them. So I just got the HP percentages as high as I really can afford to, as far as how many refines you get. So it makes it harder for the archers to run through the cav. And in that case, it makes it harder for them to, because you have to get rid of your cav before they can send, ground or cav or whatever. It would probably be ground. Like after the mounted's gone, you can probably start to do ground, because in theory, mainly what's going to be left is archer and siege. So the idea would be we want to get to the point where we're running ground, and it's your job to stop them from getting to that point. So that's as quick as I could get burned through this first one. But I think it's a pretty good core, and I've covered a fair amount of what does make your defense better. There's still quite a long list, so I'm going to run through it as quick as I can. And there may be a third video looking at reports, what to look for, and how the dynamic of the game works. Because when you stop reading reports every day after every battle, then after a while, you aren't looking at them every day, and then you start to, you fall behind. Because I've noticed some things that I felt like the game wasn't working that way before, and I never noticed this in reports before. So I'll go through that as well. But for the first part of this video, this is it. I will try to wrap up the rest of everything else I have here in the next video, which is quite a bit of stuff, but it's not really super intensive, so I should be able to burn through it pretty quick.